Hello, this is a presentation on my textbook Business Ethics and Social Responsibility for Senior High School, ABM Strand. The book has been published by Rex Publishing. It is now on its second edition, year 2020, and is available for purchase on the link indicated on the slide. Shown here is the table of contents of the textbook. The book has a social purpose of business focus. It tries to urge the reader or student throughout the book that both he, she, and the business organization that he or she will be part of have an inherent social obligation. That is, an obligation toward the poor and less fortunate, an obligation to exert greater effort in helping reduce or alleviate poverty. The book opens with the case of a Filipino businessman practicing social responsibility in business, fairness and generosity to employees through profit sharing. As early as Unit 1, the book insists that business activities must be viewed and examined from the perspective of ethics and social responsibility. It tries to convince the reader to commit himself to learning more about business organizations and the importance of virtuousness on the part of individuals and institutions. But first, it begins with a basic study of business organizations. Early on in the text, you'd find an emphasis on businesses' role in poverty alleviation. Also, the unit enumerates some of the areas of business that are in most need of ethical attention, such as advertising, labor related issues like endo, insider trading, pollution and resource depletion, etc. There is also an emphasis in Unit 1 on the moral leadership of business owners or executives. Business leaders influence the scope and character of formal ethics programs and the integration of ethics into everyday organizational life. However, both leaders and followers, employees, need to learn and acquire certain qualities that will enable the business organization to fulfill its social purpose. Some of these qualities are fairness, justice, accountability, competence, professionalism, responsibility, stewardship, and transparency, among others. It incorporates simple tests or quizzes to encourage the reader towards self examination. In Unit 2, Foundations of the Principles of Business Ethics, it is hoped that the student would be able to distinguish between ethics and philosophy, identify the classical philosophies and philosophers, describe those philosophies' implications for business principles and practices. In this unit, we introduce the main ethical philosophies on which the major business ethics philosophies are based, namely the ontological ethics, chiefly the duty ethics by Immanuel Kant, utilitarianism, chiefly Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, and virtue ethics, chiefly attributable to Aristotle and the more modern virtue ethics advocates like Alasdair MacIntyre, and other paradigms like justice theories, rights theories, etc. It is also in this unit where we study the Filipino value system and the business ethics challenges that we face due to these Filipino values of ours. A certain part of this unit highlights faith-based social enterprises like for example the Gawad Kalinga, Enchanted Farm of Mr. Tony Melotto. There is also a self-assessment exercise called Mercy and Compassion, which challenges the reader or student to answer the following questions, among others. What are the good points of the Filipinos' malasakit? Can you describe some of the weak or negative points of malasakit as practiced by Filipinos? Unit 3 highlights such important terminologies as corporate social responsibility or CSR and sustainability. Its specific objectives are to be aware of the role of business organizations in poverty elimination or alleviation, to understand the importance of the practice of justice, competence, and responsibility by individuals in business organizations, to be aware of the influence that individual ethics exercises on the company's ethics and responsibility, to realize that it is possible to create an ethical culture within organizations through the help of corporate laws or codes. In a self assessment exercise, the students are challenged to conduct a survey on the perceived social problems of our country on a national scope by, by going through a list provided, then to agree on the 10 major social problems from the list, then to answer the following questions: which government and private agencies and institutions are responsible for solving or at least lessening the impact of the above social problems? List at least 5 Philippine companies that are helping to solve or alleviate the above social problems. Have you ever had a chance to involve yourself in working out solutions to some of the social issues and problems listed above? Discuss what you did. The reader or student is introduced to groupings of corporate efforts at CSR. In a group discussion exercise, the students are confronted with the important debate between Milton Friedman's "the primary and only responsibility of business is to make a profit" vis-a-vis the now commonly accepted notion of CSR as a form of business or enterprise which aims to contribute to societal goals of a philanthropic, activist, or charitable nature by engaging in or supporting volunteering or ethically oriented practices. The following questions are asked. Do you agree with Milton Friedman? Is profit incompatible with social responsibility? Can being socially responsible be profitable? Unit 4, which is entitled Business Beyond Profit Motivation, hopes to answer the question: are we in need of new business models that would help distribute wealth more equitably, close the gap between rich and poor, force management to be more responsible? The lessons in the last unit have the following objectives: introduce the humanistic approach to business, and present a new theory of the firm for the 21st century. Explain how the virtue theory lens can be used for viewing the firm. Define socially responsible investment or SRI, as well as ethical banking and impact investing. The unit also talks about the UN Principles for Responsible Management Education or UN Prime. The unit also features the case of Eco School certification in elementary and secondary schools. Questions to be answered here are: is your school capable of becoming an eco school? If so, in which of the following areas are you contributing? Ecological literacy, energy conservation, waste minimization, school ground greening. If your answer to number 1 above is no, how do you think you can move toward being an eco school in the future? Make resolutions in at least one of the 4 areas mentioned. The summit of the course is an end-of-term group project, which consists in the crafting of a social microenterprise that will be financially sustainable and will meet a specific social objective. For example, educating the uneducated, providing microcredit to farmers or fishermen, harnessing natural resources, waste management, primary health care, providing livelihood to women or the poorest of the poor, etc. When I ran this subject at Parif Southcrest School in Cebu in 2017, I was delighted at the suggested social projects of the various groups. We held a summit on the last day of the semester, and a couple of practitioners were invited to sit with me in a panel to judge and score the group projects. Thank you very much. If you have questions, you may send me an email through the address indicated on the slide.